The subject of this training release is the Standard Servicing Operations, or SSO, manual. There are two versions of the SSO manual, one pertaining to AMC vehicles and the other to Jeep vehicles. Both versions utilize identical formats. The SSO manual provides you with important information concerning the servicing of AMC Jeep vehicles. This information includes time allowances, operation descriptions, code numbers, and material allowances for all repair procedures. The information contained in the SSO manual can be used in several different ways. Scheduling of service work, warranty claim preparation, and evaluating an individual technician's productivity. The purpose of this program is to help you make effective use of the SSO manual in your daily activities. The manual is pretty straightforward and easy to use if you understand how to use it. This film is designed to answer any questions you may have regarding the content and use of the manual. The information in this film is based on the forward section of the SSO manual. If you haven't read this section, stop the projector at this point and do so before you view the rest of this film. One of the most important sections of the forward is this listing of the definitions of terms used in the manual. It's essential that you are familiar with these terms so that you'll fully understand the operation descriptions contained in the manual. For example, R&R means remove and reinstall an original part or assembly. This includes inspection, lubrication, and all necessary adjustments. You can see it's important that you study these definitions so that you understand exactly what is included in each operation. In this film, we'll discuss each column of the manual. As we do so, we'll use some example service procedures to answer some of the common questions that are asked concerning each column. We'll also discuss uniform condition codes, an important area that relates to warranty claim preparation. Finally, we'll see exactly how time allowances are established. Some dealership service personnel have suspicions as to how time allowances are established. Contrary to rumor, times are not established this way. But first, let's discuss the use of the SSO manual. For discussion purposes, we'll use a water pump replacement job on a 4-cylinder CJ as our first example. We'll assume that the pump is leaking and that this repair is being covered under warranty, which means that service management will need information from the SSO in order to prepare a warranty claim form. Also, service management can refer to the times listed in the SSO when scheduling the workload. The SSO manual divides service operations into 6 major sections. Information regarding our water pump replacement job is listed in Section 1 of the manual, which contains all information pertaining to power plant work. Each of the 6 major sections of the manual are further divided into subsections. The first subsections of the power plant section contain information regarding engine overhaul. Here you'll find information pertaining to engine overhaul and other procedures directly involving engine work. Information regarding the supportive engine systems is listed in the following separate subsections. These systems include cooling systems, engine electrical, cruise command, fuel systems, and exhaust systems. For our water pump example, we need to refer to the subsection entitled Cooling Systems. A uniform condition code must be identified on the warranty claim form. A listing of the condition codes appears at the beginning of each subsection. Obviously, the correct condition for our example is 105, which describes a leak. Here's an important point. Always select the code that describes the condition, not just what happened as a result. Some service personnel have trouble deciding which condition code to select. Specifically, they sometimes have difficulty determining the difference between a trouble and a condition on the warranty claim form. The trouble is the owner's description of the problem. For our water pump example, the trouble is coolant leaking from the front of the engine. As we've seen, the condition code is 105, which describes a leak. In this example, it's easy to determine the condition code because the condition is the same as the trouble. Let's look at another example. For discussion purposes, let's assume that the leak described by the customer was caused by a fan bolt that was loose enough to puncture the radiator. Although the trouble is a leaking radiator, the loose fan bolt caused the leak. So the repair would be described like this. Because the loose fan bolt caused the leak, the condition code would now be 45. You can see that it's important that you take the time to select the part that caused the trouble. Then select the code that describes the part condition, not just what happened as a result. If none of the suggested codes listed in the subsection describes the condition, you can choose a code from this listing in the forward. If necessary, you may use your own words to describe the condition that exists. Now let's talk about operation descriptions. Each major operation is listed alphabetically within the subsection. Its key words are printed in capitals, followed by whatever added description is needed. For our water pump example, the correct description is the last one shown here. Leak, water pump diagnose. For each repair, a major operation number is required. For our example, the major operation number is assigned to the diagnosis procedure. That number is 2073. Combination operations, which are related additional operations that involve the same basic components, are listed under major operations. In our example, the replacement of the water pump or gasket is a combination operation that's combined with a diagnosis operation. So the operation number that must appear on the claim form would be 2073. The combination operation of the water pump would be A. An important point to keep in mind is that combination operation letters must always appear with a major operation number on the warranty claim form. The next column to discuss is the cost code column. These codes, which must also be entered on the warranty claim form, are used for product reporting purposes. Cost codes are necessary to identify the failure part whenever guaranteed repairs are involved, whether the part is actually replaced or simply repaired. If only the gasket is replaced, the code is 2.098. If the pump and gasket are replaced, the code is 2.080. So the correct code number for our example is 2.080. Here's an interesting statistic. Condition code and cost code errors account for over 50% of all warranty claim preparation errors. So be sure to enter the correct codes on all claim forms so they can be processed the first time they're submitted. The model column will indicate if the repair time allowances vary for different models. Our example is a 1980 four-cylinder vehicle, so the allowed time is 5/10 of an hour. As you can see, time allowances for 6- and 8-cylinder vehicles are longer. If our vehicle was equipped with power steering or air conditioning, additional time would be allowed. Actually, we would probably have some additional time allowed on our water pump job. Section 6 of the SSO manual lists special operations that may be required. For our example, we are allowed 1/10 for drive-in, drive-out time. So this is what the completed claim form would look like for our water pump example. Now let's take a look at the methods used to establish time allowances. As we said earlier, some service personnel suspect that this is how time allowances are established. This is a good time to look at the methods that are actually used. The service operations are performed on production-run vehicles by technicians of average skill working under regular shop conditions. The technicians work at a reasonably steady pace. The timing starts and ends with the vehicle in the technician's work areas. They follow the procedures published in the AMC and Jeep technical service manuals and diagnosis and repair bulletins. AMServe special service tools as well as time-saver tools are used. Interestingly enough, though, is the fact that these technicians do not use any electric or air-powered impact wrenches. All work is performed with hand tools. The time allowed includes time to make any necessary checks or inspections required during the repair procedure, plus a final check. The time allowances are set up to allow time for trips to the parts department. Also, time is allowed for ordering and waiting, a reasonable time for the new parts. Times for these phases of the job are based on the number of different part numbers involved in the operation. If 1 or 2 part numbers are involved in an operation, 5 minutes are allowed. If 3 to 5 part numbers are involved, 7 minutes are allowed. 10 minutes are allowed for 6 to 9 part numbers. 14 minutes are allowed for 10 or more part numbers. Time is also built into the allowances for trips to the special tool board or to the parts department if tools are stored there. 4 minutes per major operation are allowed for these trips if special or time-saver tools are needed. Helper time, when required, is also considered in the time allowances. Whenever an operation requires the aid of a helper, this is noted in the SSO manual to aid service management in the assignment of helper time. The time allowed, which is shown in minutes, is included in the time listed for the operation. In this hood example, 4 minutes are allowed for a helper to hold the hood while the technician positions it. To account for differences in work speeds among technicians, 20% is added to the actual work times. This liberal approach has resulted in standard work times that can be met by some technicians the first time an operation is performed, and by all technicians of average skill the second or third time the operation is performed. Thereafter, any technician of average skill should easily be able to perform the operation in 80% or less of the standard time. The use of power tools should make the job go even quicker. If you feel that a listed operation time is unrealistic, you can request a review of the time using this review form. Copies of this form are located at the rear of the SSO manual. Instructions for completing this form are contained in the forward section. Here's an important tip all service personnel must be aware of. The SSO manual does provide time allowances for disassembly, cleaning, inspection, and reassembly. Unfortunately, some service personnel are unaware of this. As a result, many new parts are installed unnecessarily when only a simple cleaning and inspection are needed. Uninformed technicians are under the impression that they won't be reimbursed for their cleaning and inspection efforts, so they replace parts in order to get credit for the replacement labor. A good example of this point is an automatic transmission repair. 2 hours are allowed for removal and reinstallation of the transmission. An additional 1 7/10 are allowed for disassembly, cleaning, inspection, and assembly. Also, time is allowed to replace or overhaul any internal components, such as the rear clutch. The last column on each page contains the suggested skill level code for each operation. The G here stands for General. There are 3 skill levels. P stands for Precision, G stands for General, M indicates Maintenance. Precision means that a very skilled technician is needed for a particular operation. The technician must be highly skilled and have a thorough technical understanding of the component's function. Also, he must be experienced in the use of precision measuring instruments required to perform critical measurements. 3 example precision-rated operations are automatic transmission overhaul, engine overhaul, and axle overhaul. Operations termed general call for a normally skilled technician. The technician must still have a thorough understanding of the component, but the component is simpler than those involved in precision-rated operations. A general rating also indicates that simpler measuring devices are used. Examples of general-rated operations are brake overhaul procedures, ignition system service, and axle shaft seal replacement. Maintenance operations are those that involve the replacement of parts that generally don't require any complicated adjustment procedures. These include oil and filter changes, chassis lubrication, and drive belt checks. There are two quick reference indexes located at the rear of the SSO manual. These indexes can help you save time locating the information you need when using the manual. One is the alphabetical index. The other index is this listing of operations by operation number. And that completes our look at the SSO manual. As we've seen, this is an invaluable reference source containing important information you can use every day for scheduling of service work, warranty claim preparation, and evaluating the individual technician's productivity. Copies of this worksheet have been included in this training release. To test your understanding of the SSO manual, see if you can complete the worksheet exercises.